Hi, welcome to Car Saturn. This is a two-part video where we show how to remove the intake manifold off your vehicle and how to install our repair kit. Video 1 will show how to remove the manifold and video 2 will show how to cut the intake manifold. Our repair kit is for all 2000 through 2002 S series with dual overhead cams. Your engine should look like this. We like to remove the hood for this project. It will make the job much easier. Mark the edges of the hinge with a sharp tool so you'll be able to put it back into the exact position later. Have someone help you hold the other side when you remove the bolts. We are now going to remove the intake air ducts. Loosen the clamp at the intake manifold. Next, we are going to remove the air filter box. There are 3 bolts holding it into place. Remove the wire from the sensor. We are now going to loosen the bolt holding the front engine mount. Remove the bolt and let the mount move freely. Next, we are going to remove the battery. Remove the strap and the battery terminals. We are now going to unbolt the computer and just lay it on its side so it will not be in the way later. Place a floor jack underneath the engine oil pan. Be sure to use a piece of wood so not to damage the oil pan. We have raised the car just to show where the floor jack is supposed to go. Also, we are using this opportunity to show where the coolant drain valve is. You will need to drain the coolant in a later step. Open the coolant drain valve and remove the coolant cap. Next, we are going to remove the motor mount on the side of the engine. Make sure your jack is in place and slightly lifting the engine. Remove all 5 nuts. To remove the motor mount, you may have to lift or lower the floor jack so there is minimum pressure on the mount. Wiggle it out of place, never force it. Now is a good time to inspect the engine mount. If it is torn or does not have the same gaps like the one you see, it will cause unwanted engine vibration. The reason for removing the engine mount is so that we can gain additional room in the back to remove the intake manifold. Next, we are going to remove the serpentine belt. Use a 3/8 ratchet and turn right to loosen the tensioner. Use a strap or a piece of rope to hold the engine closer to the front. This will give us more room to work with. Next, we are going to remove the power steering pump. Remove all 4 bolts and the bracket behind it. Spin the pulley wheel to see the bolts that are hidden. There is no need to remove the lines, we're simply moving it to the side. We are now going to start making room to remove the intake manifold. Remove the vacuum line going to the air pump. Be careful not to force the line, as it may crack if it is brittle. Remove the oil breather line. Remove the throttle cable. Pinch the connector and it will slide out. Remove the fuel line. Press up on the white plastic connector below and a line will come off. Remove the nut holding the fuel line and move the line out of the way. Remove the small coolant hose. We are now ready to remove the electrical connections. Remove the injector connections by squeezing the connectors and gently pulling on them. This is where you squeeze the clip. Remove the 2 electrical connections on a throttle body. There is one more electrical connector on the bottom. This connector you pull apart and then you pull it out. Remove the electrical connection on the power steering pump and move all the wires out of the way. Next, we are going to remove the fuel rail. There are 2 10mm bolts hold it into place. Use a pry bar to gently wiggle the fuel rail out. Loosen the clamp and remove the larger coolant line going to the intake manifold. Next, we are going to remove a bolt at the bottom of the intake manifold. We are holding up an intake manifold for you to see where it is at. Once we have the bolt at the bottom removed, we can remove the nuts holding the intake manifold at the top. Once the nuts have been removed, the intake is almost ready to come out. Pop out the brake booster hose so it will not be in the way, as well as a small vacuum hose that goes to the bottom. Make sure there are no electrical connectors still attached and out of the way. Gently lift and wiggle the manifold out. Be patient. If it does not come out, you may have missed something. Use these same steps in reverse to install the intake manifold. Go to video number 2 to see how to cut the intake manifold.